Before the world pulls you in, before the noise, the notifications, the expectations, take one breath and ask yourself a simple question. Who do I want to be today? Because how you start the morning shapes how you meet the world. And most people, they roll straight into the day on autopilot, chasing urgency, reacting to pressure, forgetting their deeper intention. But the Stoics lived differently. They didn't leave the morning to chance. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest emperors and philosophers, would begin his day with a personal reminder, not about achievement, but about character. He told himself, "Today I will be upright, modest, straightforward, sane, cooperative, no grand declarations, no external goals, just a return to his core, to who he chose to be, no matter what the day threw at him." And that's the power of a morning practice grounded in Stoic wisdom. Because in a chaotic world that constantly demands more, the greatest strength is to start your day with clarity. Not chasing feelings, but returning to values. Not waiting for motivation, but choosing identity. Maybe you've tried waking up earlier. Maybe you've done the journaling, the meditation, the cold showers, and maybe none of it stuck. But what if this time you didn't try to do more? You simply came back to what matters. This video is not about philosophy as theory. This is training for your mind, for your life. We're going to walk through 11 simple but powerful Stoic reminders, practices you can anchor to every morning. Not to be perfect, not to feel good all the time, but to feel grounded, to build inner strength, to meet each day with presence instead of panic. So before you scroll to the next thing, ask yourself one more question. What kind of day would I live if I started with wisdom instead of worry? Let's begin the day with you. 1. Control what you can control, the Stoic anchor for inner peace. Mornings can feel like a tidal wave. You open your eyes and instantly you're pulled. Emails, notifications, deadlines, a meeting at 9, a kid who won't eat breakfast, a text that triggers your anxiety. Before you even leave the house, your nervous system is already in fight or flight. But what if I told you, you don't have to start your day this way? What if you could take just one moment in the morning, not to fix the world, but to reclaim your place within it? Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote a line that has survived for centuries. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's it. That's the shift. You can't control how your boss speaks to you today. You can't control traffic, weather, or whether someone texts you back. But you can control how you breathe. You can control where your focus goes. You can control whether you respond or react. Let's say you're stuck in traffic. Again, you're already late. Your chest tightens. Your mind starts spiraling. You think, why is this happening again? Why didn't I leave earlier? Why can't people drive properly? But what if, in that moment, you pause? You take one deep breath, you put on a calming podcast, and you decide this is not going to ruin my morning. That one shift is more than a coping skill. It's training. It's you taking back your inner power without needing the outside world to cooperate. Because here's the truth most people miss. Peace isn't found in perfect conditions. It's found in disciplined perception. And that's what the Stoics teach. This isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about refusing to let the things you can't control control you. Every day, life will throw 1,000 things at you. And every day, you'll have the same choice. Will I react out of habit or respond from strength? Stoicism doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. It gives you tools to stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the author of your experience. So tomorrow morning, when the world starts pulling, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, is this mind control or not? And if it's not, gently let it go. If it is, do your part with clarity, not chaos. That's how you start to build a calm mind in a noisy world, not through control of everything, but through mastery of one thing, yourself. Over time, you don't just react better, you live better. More steady, more open, more grounded, and that's what real peace is. 2, accept what happens as part of the whole, the freedom of letting go. Some mornings, life doesn't go your way. You spill coffee on your shirt before an interview. Your car won't start. You get news that flips your plans upside down. And in those moments, there's a voice in your head that says, this shouldn't be happening. You resist. You tighten. You ask why. But the Stoics would ask a different question. What if this is part of the plan? Epictetus, one of the most powerful Stoic teachers, wasn't born into power or comfort. He was born into slavery. He lived with a permanent physical disability. And yet, he never became bitter. He didn't waste time asking, why me? Instead, he asked, what can I do with this? He once wrote, do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather wish that what happens be the way it happens. Then you will be happy. This isn't about giving up. It's about giving in to reality, to the fact that some things are simply outside your control. And when you fight what cannot be changed, you exhaust your energy for the things that can. You see, acceptance isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the strength to say, this may not be what I wanted, but it's what is. So now, how do I meet it with clarity? Think about it. How much time have you spent ruminating over things you can't undo? A missed opportunity, a broken relationship, a version of life you imagined, but didn't receive. What if you released that resistance, not with a sigh of defeat, but with a quiet nod of strength? That's what the Stoics did, not because they lacked ambition, but because they knew that peace begins where resistance ends. There's a line from Marcus Aurelius that echoes this perfectly. What stands in the way becomes the way. Life doesn't always ask for your permission, but it does invite your participation. And that invitation becomes powerful the moment you stop fighting what already is and begin responding to it with presence. Let me tell you a small practice that might help. The next time something disrupts your morning, pause and say to yourself, this too is part of the whole. It's a grounding reminder that life isn't unfolding to you, it's unfolding with you. You're not just the actor in the story, you're also the one who chooses how to interpret the scene. And when you make peace with reality, something remarkable happens. You become lighter, more open, more resilient. You stop needing life to match your expectations, and instead you become someone who can rise within any situation. That's where true inner strength is born. Over time, this shift doesn't just help you survive setbacks, it helps you grow through them. So next time life surprises you, instead of asking, why me? Ask, how can I walk through this with grace? That one shift could change the entire tone of your day. 3. Visualize the worst, so you're never surprised. Premeditatio malorum. Let's be honest, most of us wake up hoping for a smooth day. No delays, no drama, no disruptions. But life rarely follows our script, does it? A meeting gets canceled, a project backfires, someone says something that throws off your rhythm, and suddenly your calm is gone. Now here's the paradox. What if the key to staying calm is to imagine what could go wrong before it actually does? It sounds strange at first, but it's a practice the Stoics lived by, especially Seneca, one of the greatest thinkers of ancient Rome. He called it premeditatio malorum. and the premeditation of evils, not to invite misfortune, but to prepare your mind for life as it is, not just as you wish it to be. Seneca once wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." In other words, when you mentally rehearse the worst-case scenario, it loses its grip on you. You've already made peace with it in advance. It's like emotional armor, not to harden you, but to free you. Because once you've imagined the fall, you no longer live in fear of it. Think about it like this. Before a big meeting, you visualize a few possible setbacks. What if the client doesn't respond well? What if the tech fails? What if I forget a key point? Instead of spiraling, you write it down. You breathe. You prepare. Then when the moment comes, you're not shaken. You've already walked that road in your mind. So your energy isn't wasted in panic. It's focused in presence. This isn't pessimism. It's a deeper kind of optimism, one that's built on reality, not fantasy. Because life is unpredictable. You can't prevent storms, but you can practice standing still in the wind. Let me share something personal. Before I speak to a crowd or record something meaningful, I sit down quietly and I ask myself, what if I forget my words? What if people don't like it? What if it's awkward or imperfect? And then I let those images play out. I feel the discomfort, but I don't resist it. And just like that, fear begins to soften. Because what I've learned is this: fear grows in the shadows of avoidance, but when you face it, even just in your imagination, it shrinks. So here's a small but powerful morning practice. Before your day begins, take 1 minute, close your eyes, picture something important you're walking into, a conversation, a deadline, a challenge, and then ask, what could go wrong? Not to scare yourself, but to disarm the fear, to become familiar with the fall so it no longer surprises you. Over time, this habit rewires your nervous system. You stop reacting. You start responding. Because when you've already seen the worst in your mind, you meet the real moment with grace. And here's the beauty of it all. Most of the time, the worst never happens, but you'll walk through life steadier because you were ready either way. 4. Stay present, because that's where your power lives. Let's be honest. How much of your morning energy is wasted on a future that hasn't happened yet? You're brushing your teeth, but your mind is already in the meeting. You're pouring coffee, but worrying about that email. You're physically present, but mentally miles away, and the day hasn't even begun. We all do it. We leap ahead into imagined scenarios, predicting how things might unfold. We overthink. We rehearse arguments. We brace for what-ifs. But here's what the Stoics knew, and what modern neuroscience confirms. You can't live in two places at once. When your mind is stuck in the future, your power in the present dissolves. Seneca warned us about this habit centuries ago. He said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Think about that. It's not the actual event that drains us. It's the constant pre-living of it. Take a page from athletes like LeBron James, who embodied the legendary Mamba mentality, a mindset inspired by Kobe Bryant. What was its essence? Full focus on the now. Not the last play, not the scoreboard, just the next move. That's presence. It's what gives you clarity in chaos. It's what helps you respond instead of react. And it's what makes you effective, steady, grounded. You don't need to be an NBA champion to apply it. You just need to pause and ask, what actually deserves my full attention today? Not everything, not everyone, just what's in front of you right now. Maybe it's that one conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's the workout you promised yourself. Maybe it's simply breathing deeper while you wait in traffic instead of spiraling into anxiety. Presence isn't a luxury, it's a practice. And it starts by choosing to be here, not in the story your fear is writing. Because when you're fully present, something powerful happens. You stop trying to control the uncontrollable. You stop leaking energy into tomorrow. And you start showing up where life actually happens, here, in this breath, in this moment. So here's a simple Stoic reminder you can carry with you each morning. Let me focus only on what is within reach. This thought, this action, this step. Everything else can wait. Worrying won't make you more prepared. Rushing won't make you more productive. But presence makes you powerful. And over time, presence becomes peace. Because you're no longer chasing life. You're in it. And when you're in it fully, you're already enough. So tomorrow morning, try this. Before reaching for your phone, before checking your schedule, just sit for 30 seconds and ask, where am I? Am I here or already gone? Bring yourself back again and again. That's the real practice. And it's how you train your mind, not just to survive, but to truly live. Because the present moment isn't just where your body is, it's where your power is. And that's something worth returning to every single day. 5. Master your emotional responses. Reclaim your inner authority. Let's be real. There are days when emotions hit before your feet even touch the floor. A passive-aggressive text, a mistake at work, a comment that stings a little too deeply, and suddenly your entire mood shifts. You're not just reacting, you're unraveling. But here's what the Stoics knew, something we often forget in a reactive world. You are not your first impulse. You are not the anger. You are not the fear. You are not the overwhelm that floods your system. You are the space between the trigger and the response. Marcus Aurelius said it beautifully. The pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. It's not the email that hurts, it's the meaning you attach to it. It's not the noise around you, it's how much power you give it. The Stoics never asked us to suppress emotions. They didn't tell us to fake calmness or pretend everything is fine. Instead, they invited us to observe, to take that sacred pause before we lash out, shut down, or spiral. Let's say you're dealing with a furious client or coworker. Their tone is sharp. Their energy is off. You can feel your body tightening, your thoughts racing, your defense rising. But in that very moment, you have a choice. You can mirror their chaos, or you can breathe, ground yourself, and respond with clarity. Not because you're weak, but because you're in control. This is emotional strength, not loudness, not dominance, but inner steadiness. And it's not easy, especially when the world teaches us that being emotional is being real. That yelling means you're standing up for yourself, that reacting quickly means you're strong. But the truth is, strength often looks like silence, like a pause, like a calm voice that says, let's talk when we're both ready. Like walking away, not out of fear, but out of freedom. Think about this. How often have you regretted staying calm versus how often have you regretted reacting too quickly? That's the wisdom the Stoics passed down. Not to numb yourself, but to own yourself. Because every time you choose a thoughtful response over an automatic one, you reclaim power. Power over your day, power over your relationships, power over your peace. It's not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally intelligent. You start noticing patterns. You start recognizing when your ego wants to take over. You start responding in a way that builds trust with yourself and with others. This is the practice, and it is a practice. You won't always get it right. You'll slip, react, snap, regret. But each morning is a reset. Each breath is a chance to begin again. So tomorrow when something tries to hijack your peace, remember this. You are not here to be ruled by emotion. You are here to master it with compassion, with courage, and with clarity. Because when you stop letting others control your inner world, you begin to live from your own center. And from that place you lead, you heal, you grow. And that, quietly, steadily, is the Stoic way. 6. Practice daily gratitude. Rewire your focus. Every morning, let's talk about a small practice that quietly rewires your life. Gratitude. It's not just a feel-good buzzword, it's a daily decision, a shift in perception. And for the Stoics, it was essential, not because life was easy, but because it was unpredictable. They lived in a time of war, exile, betrayal, illness, yet they found something to be thankful for every single day. Why? Because gratitude is how you protect your mind from falling into despair. It's how you stay grounded when everything feels uncertain. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who led during plague and battle, wrote reminders to himself about appreciation, not luxury, not grand victories, but the ordinary moments, the warmth of the sun, the value of honest work, the presence of those who mattered. He understood something we often forget. What you focus on expands. And so, when you wake up each morning, you face a choice to let your mind spiral into what's missing or to return to what's already here. Here's a simple practice that takes just 90 seconds. Before you check your phone, before the world floods in, pause, grab a notebook, or just sit in silence and name 3 things you're grateful for. Maybe it's that first sip of coffee. Maybe it's the sound of your child laughing in the other room. Maybe it's the fact that today you get another shot at showing up. It doesn't have to be profound. In fact, the most powerful gratitude is usually quiet, ordinary, and personal. Because it's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about training your mind to notice what's good, even when life isn't. The Stoics never denied pain, but they didn't let it take center stage. They knew you can't always choose your circumstances, but you can always choose what you amplify. Gratitude, practiced daily, becomes your filter. It dissolves comparison. It interrupts complaint. It breaks the cycle of not enough. When you train your eyes to see gifts, you stop measuring your worth against someone else's timeline. You stop obsessing over what's missing. You start seeing clearly what you already have, who you already are, and how far you've already come. And slowly, something shifts. You become lighter, not because life gets easier, but because your mind gets stronger. You stop rushing through the morning and start savoring it. You stop reacting and start responding with presence, with intention, with peace. So here's a question worth asking. What are you grateful for right now? Not yesterday, not someday, but today. Write it down. Whisper it to yourself. Feel it in your body. This is not spiritual fluff. This is cognitive training. This is philosophical strength in action. And over time, those 90 seconds of daily gratitude become more than just a morning habit. They become your anchor, your daily armor, your quiet rebellion against the noise, your way back to inner peace. Start small, stay consistent. Let gratitude become the lens through which you see and lead your life. 7. See struggle as strength training, turning pain into power. We often look at life's struggles and ask, why me? But what if the better question is, what is this trying to teach me? The Stoics believed that hardship wasn't a detour, It was the path. Every difficulty, every setback, every painful experience was strength training for the soul. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations from a quiet garden or a comfortable palace. He wrote them on battlefields, during plagues, in the face of betrayal and loss. And yet, he didn't complain. He didn't run. He didn't collapse under pressure. He reflected. He grew. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's not just poetic, that's power. Most of us are taught to chase comfort, to avoid struggle. But life inevitably brings challenge through illness, disappointment, failure, or change. And the Stoics knew these moments are not here to destroy you. They are here to forge you. Struggle is a gym for your inner world. You don't build strength by sitting still. You build it by showing up, especially when it's hard. Think about a time you felt tested. Maybe you were emotionally exhausted, financially stretched, or dealing with a loss you didn't see coming. Looking back, wasn't that the moment something inside you matured? You discovered resilience. You found clarity. You learned patience, not in theory, but in fire. Because theory can't teach you calm in the middle of chaos. Only lived experience can. So here's a mindset shift you can carry with you every day. Don't resist the challenge. Enter it with intention. Ask yourself, how can this moment shape me? What virtue is life asking me to strengthen right now? Is it courage, humility, endurance, compassion? The Stoics didn't pretend life would be easy. They simply prepared to meet it with character. And just like a physical workout pushes your muscles to grow stronger, life pushes your values to evolve, if you let it. So the next time you're stuck in a conflict, or your plans fall apart, or you feel like everything's against you, pause, not to escape the pain, but to listen to it. Maybe the stress at work is teaching you patience. Maybe the rejection is revealing your deeper sense of worth. Maybe the burnout is asking you to redefine success in your terms. When you choose to see the struggle this way, it no longer feels like punishment. It becomes a curriculum, a private classroom where your inner strength is shaped quietly, steadily, powerfully. You become less reactive, more grounded, wiser, not in theory, but in truth. And here's the paradox. The moments you used to avoid become the ones that define you. That's how character is built. That's how peace is earned. Not by running from life, but by meeting it, open, steady, unafraid. So today, if you're facing something hard, something messy, something you didn't ask for, remember this is not a mistake. This is your training ground. Lean in, reflect, grow through it. Because in the Stoic path, pain isn't the end of the story. It's where strength begins. 8. Act from virtue, not impulse. Let your character lead the way. In a fast world, it's easy to let emotions run the show. A sharp email, a rude comment, a wave of anxiety, and before you know it, you're reacting, not responding. But what if, instead of acting from impulse, you acted from virtue? The Stoics believe that true freedom begins not when you control the world, but when you control how you respond to it. And they didn't just talk about this, they lived it. Seneca, one of Rome's most well-known Stoics, spent much of his life surrounded by corruption and power games. He served under Emperor Nero, a man known for cruelty, manipulation, and chaos. And yet Seneca didn't let the madness outside define the man he chose to be inside. He stayed rooted in something deeper than status or survival. He chose to live by virtue. What does that mean? To the Stoics, there were four guiding stars: wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. 4 inner pillars that didn't change with trends, moods, or opinions. 4 anchors that allowed them to stay centered, no matter how unstable the world became. Wisdom is your ability to think clearly, to see reality without distortion. Justice is treating others with fairness, even when they don't deserve it. Courage is doing what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. And temperance is the art of moderation, knowing when enough is enough. Now, maybe you're not making grand political decisions today, but in the small, everyday moments, you still have choices that shape your character. You get a passive-aggressive message. Do you clap back immediately or take a breath and reply with clarity? You feel tension in a relationship. Do you avoid it or do you step forward with honesty and calm? These aren't just reactions. They're reflections of who you are becoming. A Stoic asks not, "What do I feel like doing?" but "What would virtue do in this moment?" That shift from emotional impulse to intentional virtue is subtle but life-changing. Because here's a hard truth we often forget. Success without virtue is failure in disguise. You can climb the ladder, win the argument, get the last word. But if you lose your integrity along the way, what did you really gain? On the flip side, when you act from virtue, even if it's not flashy or loud, you build something unshakable: self-respect, peace of mind, long-term trust from those around you. And that's a kind of success that doesn't need applause. It feels right because it is right. So the next time you're triggered, tempted, or torn between two paths, pause, come back to your center. Ask yourself, which response reflects the person I want to be? Which one aligns with wisdom, justice, courage, or temperance? It doesn't mean you'll always get it perfect, but it means you're living intentionally, not just emotionally. And over time, those choices, one text, one conversation, one decision at a time, they become your legacy, not in a loud, dramatic way, but in the quiet strength of someone who knows who they are. Let virtue be your compass. Let it lead, not your anger, not your ego, not your fears. Because in a world full of noise and reaction, choosing character is a quiet revolution, and it starts with you. 9. Lower expectations, raise peace, let go of the outcome. Let's be honest, how often do your mornings start with invisible expectations? You expect traffic to be light. You expect others to reply quickly. You expect the day to go according to plan. And when it doesn't, frustration builds. Your peace starts to slip. And suddenly you're reacting to life, not flowing with it. Here's the trap we often fall into. We believe that if we plan well enough, try hard enough, or do everything right, the world will meet us with smooth roads and instant rewards. But reality doesn't work like that. And expecting it to, day after day, is a recipe for tension, resentment, and chronic disappointment. That's why the Stoics practice something radically freeing. Expect less, accept more. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, receive without pride, let go without attachment. In other words, take what comes without needing it to flatter your ego. And when something leaves, don't let it take your peace with it, because peace isn't found in perfect outcomes. It's found in letting go of needing perfect outcomes. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become passive or lazy. It means you'll learn to detach from the outcome and return to the intention. You show up, you do your best, and then you release. Release the need for praise. Release the pressure to control how people respond. Release the belief that success always comes in the form you imagine. Here's a practical habit you can try starting tomorrow morning. Build in buffer time. If you have a meeting at 9 o'clock, aim to be ready by 8:45. If you need to finish a task, give yourself extra space. This one small shift eases the invisible stress caused by unrealistic expectations of time and control. You begin to move through the day with more grace, more breath, more resilience. And when things do go wrong, because they will, you're not thrown off course. You anticipated it. You left room. You're anchored. Here's a question to reflect on. What would your day feel like if you stopped expecting it to go perfectly and simply allowed it to unfold? What if instead of chasing constant satisfaction, you practiced quiet appreciation? Not because everything is going your way, but because you've decided to meet each moment with peace, not pressure. The Stoics understood something powerful. It's not life's events that disturb us. It's our expectations about those events. When you expect life to be smooth, people to be flawless, and results to arrive on your timeline, you suffer. But when you accept that life is full of delay, messiness, and imperfection, you start to breathe again. You start to live again. So today, try this. Lower the bar of rigid expectation. Raise the standard of inner calm. Do the good thing, not because you'll be rewarded, but because it's who you are. And if life doesn't applaud you right away, that's okay. You didn't do it for applause. You did it for your soul. That kind of peace, no one can take it from you. 10. Remember you will die. Let mortality give your life. Meaning there's a question we're all quietly avoiding, but it holds the power to set us free. What if today was your last? Most people treat that question like a threat. But for the Stoics, it was a compass, a way to wake up, not with fear, but with clarity. Memento mori, remember you will die, not as a morbid mantra, but as a reminder you are still alive. And if you're still breathing, you still have a chance to live fully, to love honestly, to let go of the petty and return to what truly matters. Randy Pausch, a professor diagnosed with terminal cancer, gave what he called the last lecture. But that lecture wasn't about dying, it was about living with humor, depth, purpose, and gratitude. Because knowing his time was limited made every moment radiate with urgency and grace. What if we didn't need a diagnosis to wake up like that? What if each morning you whisper to yourself, this might be the last time I watch the sunrise, the last cup of coffee I taste, the last chance I get to forgive someone, to say I love you, to walk through this life awake? How would you carry yourself? What would you stop postponing? What would suddenly feel sacred? You see, death isn't the enemy. It's a truth teller. It strips away the nonsense. It dissolves the ego's illusions. And it invites you to live, not just survive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't about fear. It's about presence. Because when you know time is limited, you stop wasting it on things that don't matter. You stop replaying arguments in your head. You stop chasing approval from people who never see you. You stop numbing your days hoping for a better tomorrow. Instead, you begin to notice the texture of the wind, the sound of your loved one's laugh, the weight of your own words. You begin to live on purpose. Here's a morning practice to try. Before you scroll your phone, before the noise creeps in, pause, place your hand on your heart, and ask, if this were my last day, how would I speak? What would I choose? How would I show up for the people I love? And then, live like it matters, not with pressure to be perfect, but with reverence, with honesty, with soul. Because when you carry the awareness of death gently in your pocket, you don't panic. You prioritize. You make peace with imperfection. You give people the benefit of the doubt. You start living today, not someday. And in doing so, something beautiful happens. You don't just prepare for death, you prepare for life, real life, the kind that's rich with meaning and free from regret. So today, let memento mori be your quiet companion, not to darken your spirit, but to light it on fire. 11th, end. Each day with self-reflection, the quiet power of looking inward. As the sun sets and the world quiets down, there's a sacred moment waiting for you. A pause before sleep, a breath before tomorrow, a simple question echoing in the stillness. Did I live with virtue today? That's what Marcus Aurelius asked himself each night, not to judge, not to shame, but to return to his center. And here's what's remarkable. He didn't write those reflections from a cozy cabin. He was in the middle of war, surrounded by noise, stress, conflict, and still, he made time to look inward. Why? Because Stoics knew something modern life often forgets. If you don't reflect, you repeat. If you don't slow down, you drift. If you don't check in with yourself, the world will do it for you. So what if you ended your day, not with distraction or self-criticism, but with a few gentle questions? What did I do well today? Where did I struggle? What did I learn about myself? This isn't about achieving perfection. It's about deepening your awareness. Most people fall asleep with stress still buzzing in their heads, regret swirling, to-do lists growing. But what if your nighttime ritual became a form of peacekeeping for the soul? Just 5 minutes, a quiet notebook, a safe space to lay down your thoughts, to sift through the noise, to honor your efforts and learn from your missteps. This is not self-blame, it's self-respect. Because when you reflect with compassion, you grow with clarity. Maybe you handled a tough conversation better than last time. Maybe you snapped at someone, and now you know why. Maybe you finally said no to something that used to drain you, or maybe you didn't. But tomorrow gives you another shot. Self-reflection is how you slowly build character, not overnight, but moment by moment, truthfully, gently. Imagine this. Instead of replaying what went wrong in a loop, you ask, what would my wiser self have done? And what's one thing I'll try differently tomorrow? You don't need to write a novel, just a few lines of honesty. You'd be surprised how powerful that can be. This daily check-in helps you align your actions with your values. It reminds you of what matters. And over time, you begin to notice a shift. You become less reactive, more intentional, more grounded, not because life got easier, but because you got clearer. So tonight, before the lights go off, give yourself this gift, not a punishment, not a performance, just a moment of stillness, a mirror that doesn't judge, just reflects. Ask yourself, as Marcus did I show up with integrity? Did I move closer to the person I want to be? Did I live with courage, patience, honesty? And then forgive what you must. Celebrate what you can. Sleep with peace, knowing that awareness, not perfection, is your path forward. Because self-reflection is where wisdom begins. Philosophy only lives through action. Let's take a deep breath together. You've just walked through 11 powerful Stoic reminders, each one a compass pointing you back to your center. But here's the truth most people miss. Philosophy doesn't live in books. It lives in behavior. It lives in what you do, especially when life gets messy. These lessons aren't here to impress you. They're here to anchor you, to quietly guide you through your mornings when the noise creeps in, to help you choose peace over panic, clarity over reactivity, purpose over autopilot. You don't need to transform your entire life overnight. You don't need to remember all 11 every single day. Instead, just pick one, maybe two. Write it down. Put it on your mirror. Whisper it to yourself when you wake up. Something like, I control my mind, not the chaos around me. Or, this moment deserves my full attention. Or, let me live today with quiet strength, not noisy urgency. And then act on it, even if it's small, especially if it's small. Because as Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. In the end, your life won't be shaped by what you knew. It will be shaped by what you practiced. So tomorrow morning, before the world rushes in with its demands, take one moment, return to yourself, return to one truth, and start from there. This is how real change begins, not in noise, but in stillness, not in theory, but in quiet action. And if any part of today's message spoke to you, if even one of these reminders made you feel more grounded, more human, I'd love to know, which one will you carry into your morning? Which truth will you return to when life feels overwhelming? Let me know in the comments. It's always beautiful to hear how this wisdom lives through you. And if you haven't already, you're invited to subscribe. This space is for real people doing the inner work, one day at a time. No pressure, no perfection, just progress. Because philosophy doesn't ask you to be flawless. It asks you to be aware, aligned, and alive. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing depth over distraction. Now go live your morning with strength, with stillness, with soul.